Reading this book was a challenge. You realize how different things were during the 1960s, and it becomes frustrating to even read. If somebody was even remotely different, they were sent to a psychiatric hospital where they were treated like freaks and punished for their so-called crimes.
But in this novel by Ken Kesey, it shows how one person can change the entire environment of a place where uniqueness is not tolerated and inspires others to do the same. In this book, there are many characters who have a huge role throughout the novel, influencing the way things play out in the ward, but 3 stand out the most.
The first character that we will be exploring is Chief Rondon. The story is told from his perspective in the world. Although others think he is deaf and dumb, he is extremely wise and hears everything that goes on and witnesses all the cruelty and the madness that happens throughout the ward. He sees the new patients who come and go. He watches as the old ones die off and is always keeping a close eye on what the big nurse will do next. He's considered a chronic, meaning that all the nurses and the hospital staff have given up on trying to find a cure for him. There is no one more aware and no one more experienced when it comes to the people who run the ward and the way things work in the world. He is the son of the chief of the Columbia Indians, thus his nickname Chief. Although his take on society is very correct, he battles from his own set of problems, giving him constant challenges like the other patients in the ward. When our next character comes into the novel, he knows immediately that things are about to change drastically in the ward.
The next character is Randall McMurphy. When this red-headed, overly confident, gambling Casanova shows up, he turns the ward upside down. His quick-witted commentary soon starts to challenge the big nurse and the orderly way things function. He soon establishes his dominance around the other patients and seems to restore some humanity in the ward. With his prostitutes, gambling, and drinking, McMurphy almost seems to get the better of the big nurse. Almost immediately making friends with the chief, he soon befriends the rest of the patients and challenges the nurse for dominance.
Our final character profile is of the conniving nurse Ratched. She is the main antagonist in this novel. This big, bad, and bold woman is the puppeteer behind the ward. If anyone was to challenge her, she could put you in your place faster than you could say shock therapy. Challenge her enough, she might even take a slice of your brain. This woman is not one to be messed with. No matter how witty, confident, and persuasive you are, she will always win. Naturally, she was an obvious opponent for Randall McMurphy.
The psychiatric ward is a machine. It's a small world of regulations, routine, and discipline ruled by Nurse Ratched. We know the time period is somewhere between the late 1950s or early 1960s because World War II is still a recent memory for Chief. The ward is divided by 2 different types of patients. One type is the acutes. The acutes are the people that society believes can be fixed. These are people that may have a stutter, be homosexual, or have social issues. The other type is the chronics. These are mostly old men with Alzheimer's, but there are others who are wheelchair bound and others who are total vegetables. These are the patients that cannot be fixed. The ward is a place full of white walls, metal doors, and chairs bolted to the ground. Not only is it designed to keep people in, it is designed to keep the world around them out. I personally did not like the end of the book. Throughout the book, you begin to fall in love with each of the patients and you feel their suffering in the ward. The end shows how life really was for these patients. Society was cruel to them and showed them no mercy.
For me, the end of the book showed how someone could do an extremely selfless act. For the chief to do what he did for McMurphy shows how much he really cared about him and their relationship. He didn't want him to live a life of no meaning, and he did the only thing that he knew to do. This book was a pleasure to read. It shows you how things were in the past, and it shows how selfless a single person can be. It was a pleasure doing this project.